I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at my website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is A Fight to the Finish. And that is because I think it's absolutely unavoidable this week, because there are 5 planets just in a fixed financial sign, Taurus, and they are all being squared by a 6th planet, Pluto, in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. So if there's going to be a fight to the finish, it's going to be about money. And I think somebody, it could be a person, or it could be a group, or it could be a whole country, but somebody wants a lot of money right now. And the reason there's a fight to the finish is perhaps not everyone agrees with that. So they could want a lot of money, or they could want a lot of property or expensive real estate, or they could want a very large investment portfolio. So there can be a fight about all of that. And yet, are they going to get their way? Well, that remains to be seen, because I think that the outcome right now of a fight to the finish is going to be a little bit different than everyone expects. And I'm not the referee. I'm not involved in a fight with anybody about money, really. And so we will hopefully be able to sit on the sidelines and watch this fight to the finish. And I think that there are some things that look very positive, but that doesn't mean they're going to end up that way. And the reason why is there have been some planetary changes, and they're almost all happening at once. 2 days ago, Mercury, the planet of the mind and of communication, went direct in Taurus. And so that's why there's a fight to the finish, because there's a lot more talk about money right now. And then today, Jupiter has left Aries, and it just entered Taurus, and it's at 0 degrees of Taurus. So there's Jupiter in Taurus now, Mercury is direct in Taurus, it is joining Uranus, that planet of sudden surprising change and volatility, and it too is in Taurus. And then on Friday, the Sun and the new moon will be at 28 degrees of Taurus. So yes, the reason there's a fight to the finish is because there's another new moon in Taurus. Do you remember a month ago there was a solar eclipse in Taurus, and it was at 0 degrees? Well, now on Friday we have the Sun and exalted new moon at 28 degrees. And so, the moon moves so quickly that it's going to be gone real quickly, and then the Sun will be leaving too, because they're both in very late degrees of Taurus. The number 28, when it is reduced, and we reduce by adding digits, so 2 plus 8 equals 10, and 1 plus 0 equals 1, the number of new beginnings. And so this fight about money has a lot to do with a new beginning of some sort. And I think it's a follow-up to the solar eclipse that we had a month ago in Taurus. So these 5 planets in Taurus represent somebody who's really got their mind on a lot of money that they want, or expensive property, or a big investment portfolio that they feel should be theirs. But will they get it? That remains to be seen, because the 6th planet that is in a fixed sign is Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And Pluto is retrograde. It's the only retrograde planet right now. But as of today, when Jupiter just went into Taurus at 0 degrees, these 2 planets are in precise harsh square to each other. And so this fight to the finish is going to involve all those people, or even one one person that wants a lot of money, or a country, or a corporation. And there can be a lot of people supporting them. They will be confidently expecting to get more money. because there are another 4 planets, 2 in Cancer and 2 in Pisces, and they are all sextiling the 5 planets in Taurus. Okay, so Mars and Venus are in Cancer, sextiling 5 planets in Taurus under the new moon on Friday, and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are also sextiling those planets in Taurus. So that's 9 planets, and there's only 10 up there. And so what will the outcome be? Well, at the very best, it will be undecided. And why is that? It is because that one lone Pluto in Aquarius represents somebody in a fairly high position who is a visionary. Aquarius rules things ahead of their time, and people who have a lot of vision for the future. And that one person or one group is going to say no. And it's just a flat no. No. No to the money that somebody else wants. And that's why there's a fight to the finish. And so, if we look at that a little bit more closely, and as I said, I'm not the referee, but still, there may be a good reason for somebody to say no right now. And it is somebody with vision, somebody that's ahead of their time, and it's a flat no. And the reason why there could be good reason to say no is because if you look a little bit more closely at these 9 planets that look like it's sort of a shoe-in because they're all supporting each other, you will see that the 5 planets in Taurus under the new moon on Friday have no support. They do from planets in other elements, but not in their own. There's nothing in Capricorn and there's nothing in Virgo to trine the planets in Taurus. And so there is some doubt that the people who want the money, a lot of money, there's a little bit of doubt as to who it's supposed to benefit. And it could be that somebody says no now because they think that it would benefit special interests, but it would not necessarily benefit everyone. And that's because there's nothing in the other earth signs. You know, nobody else is involved except the people that just want to grab onto the money. And even if it's just one person that wants a lot of money, there's going to be another person saying no. And they may have a good reason for that. It might be that they just think, oh, it's only in your own interest. No matter what you say, there's no proof that it's really going to do anybody else any good except you. And so there's a no there. And then we look at the planets that are supporting these 5 planets in Taurus under the new moon. Mars and Venus are in Cancer. And Cancer rules the home and the family. It also rules America, Ukraine, and Canada. And it rules our emotions and how we feel about things. And Venus is very happy there. But Mars is a planet of aggression. It's called a malefic planet because it likes to have its way. And so there can be some contention or even some arguments among family members who are related to whoever's asking for all the money. And there can be some dissension there. And why is that? Because Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, although they are trining these planets in Cancer, Saturn is another malefic planet, and it is the planet of time. And it is in the sign of Pisces, which rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And so there's another little doubt right now about who's going to benefit from the money, because even if somebody said, well, I want all that money for my family or for a group I belong to or for an organization, are you sure? And the reason why it's good to ask is because Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And as I said, Saturn is a planet of time. Well, Saturn's transit through the 12 sun signs takes 28 to 30 years. So it hasn't been in Pisces since, 1993 to 1995. That's about right. So somewhere in between 1993 and 1995, someone could have decided that, okay, sooner or later I'm going to get a lot of money. And here Pisces, Saturn has now come back into Pisces. And there is that hidden agenda coming up again. Maybe they thought it would take 28 to 30 years to get the money, and they were willing to wait. And so there is a little doubt about who benefits if there is a lot of money given away. And there is somebody with a lot of vision that is saying no. And that's really heightened right now by the fact that Pluto is at 0 degrees of Aquarius. It has a long way to go in that sign. And it is exactly squaring Jupiter, which just today went into Taurus, and it too is at 0 degrees. It's sort of the harshest square you can get. And it's between two pretty powerful planets. I mean, Jupiter would represent somebody who wants a lot of money, who has expensive tastes, and wants high-priced things. But Pluto in Aquarius is representing somebody with future vision that is saying no because they're not too sure what is going to be done with that money. So there's going to be a fight to the finish. And I really think that there will be no outright winners. And the reason why is that, you know, it's just such a big, even if it's only one person saying no, it's a big request. It's a lot of money somebody wants. And I don't think anything is going to be accomplished in a fight to the finish. It might happen that they're there, that it's going on, but I don't think anything will be accomplished until the terms of an agreement are amended in some way. In other words, there will be a deadlock until terms get eventually sort of trimmed down to something that is more affordable and manageable. And let's hope that happens pretty fast, because a fight to the finish can sort of look a little bit threatening for everybody. But it's particularly threatening for whoever wants all that money, because they're so sure they can get it. And they may have worked 28 to 30 years on a hidden agenda with a plan of getting it. But somebody is going to say no, and it's the end of the conversation. They mean it. So it's not going to happen the way people think. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, Aries, the honeymoon's over, Aries. And the reason why I'm speaking about that is because Jupiter has been in your sign for a while, but today it left and it has now entered Taurus. And so you could have been very enthusiastic about making a new beginning, and you might just be thinking, oh, I can see that right in front of me, and I'll have the money for it. Well, maybe you will have the money for it, Aries. And if it's your own money and you're willing to spend it on a precious dream of yours or of making a new start, more power to you. That's great. Do it. But at the same time, if you don't have enough money and you're wanting to get money from somebody else, that could be a little hard to do right now, Aries, because there are no planets in fire signs. There's nothing in your sign, and there's nothing backing up your sign. And so fire signs denote action. And this seems to be a time of deadlock, not action. And so as long as you're operating on your own income, and as long as you're sort of happy where you are, and you're excited about making a new start, I say, hey, go to it, Aries. But you are sort of on your own. But that's all right. Aries likes to be out there in front. And so somebody's got to be a pioneer. May as well be you, Aries. But just be careful. I think everyone should be very careful with their money right now. And you may have dollar signs in your eyes, but that's not where they need to be. The dollar signs actually need to be in your bank account. And if they are not, and you want more money from someone, this is probably... you may feel like you can just get lucky and take a chance and win an argument, but I doubt it, because there are no planets in fire signs at all. So take it easy, Aries, and go forward on your own. I mean, your sign is, it's excellent at making new beginnings. And there's a lot to making a new beginning. It doesn't take just money. It takes, a lot of work, a lot of planning. And that doesn't take as much money as time. And actually, you have time right now, Aries, so go ahead with your new beginning if you want to. But don't count on spending someone else's money to make it happen. You better have some of your own instead. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when you could be convinced, absolutely convinced, and well supported by others about, getting some money right now, or winning a financial argument, or cashing in on something. And maybe you could. Jupiter just came into your sign today, Taurus. It's going to be there for a while. So, I mean, if you've got your eyes on something pretty pricey and you have the money, you'll probably get it. That's fine. But I wouldn't overspend at this time, Taurus, simply because there's no backup for the 5 planets under the new moon on Friday that are in your sign. And on top of that, your timing would have to be really carefully calibrated, because on Friday, that sun and new moon will both be at 28 degrees of Taurus. And the moon moves half a degree in 1 hour. And so in 4 hours, it would move 2 degrees. Actually, in 30 hours, in 60 hours, it's going to move 30 degrees. It only takes 2.5 days for the moon to get through a sign, is what I'm saying. But the new moon is at the end of Taurus. And so it's only going to take 4 hours for that moon to move right into Gemini. And it's only going to take a couple more days for the sun to move into Gemini. And so, I'm not, you could be very confident right now, Taurus. Maybe you're selling something and you're going to get your price. So that might be what you're confident about. Well, more power to you if you do. That would be great. But if you're counting on either gaining a portion of someone else's expensive investment portfolio, or you're getting your hands on somebody else's property, you got to make sure you've got the money, Taurus. And you may say to yourself, well, maybe I don't have all the money, but I'm going to get it. I wouldn't go forward on a financial plan unless it's really in your hand, Taurus, because the planets in your sign on Friday are not being supported by anything. There's nothing in Capricorn and nothing in Virgo, and the sun and exalted moon are moving. The moon in particular is moving right out because it's at the end of your sign when this new moon hits. So, and on top of that, there can be a lot of emotional support from people that can make you feel confident or even overconfident. But on the other hand, the earth signs are very practical and very realistic. And the thing that you're noted for is actually not exactly putting your hands on somebody else's money, but making your own. Taurus rules the second house of how somebody makes their money and what they spend it on or invest it in. So you sort of like just using your own money. And so if you want to get in a big fight about money right now, Taurus, I don't think there's going to be any winners, and certainly not on the scale that you're talking about. It won't happen. And that is because even just one lone voice by somebody who's pretty high up that has a lot of vision for the future, they are going to say no. And that's the end of the conversation. And so I would bide your time if I were you, Taurus, and maybe lower your sights a little bit. I mean, Taurus has expensive tastes, that's true. And they want the best for themselves and their loved ones. But do you need to have it all today, Taurus? Probably not. And so, you know, Jupiter it just came into your sign. Why don't you relax a little bit and have a little faith that there will be nice things coming up for you. Jupiter's going to be in your sign for a while. But that's why I'm thinking maybe you don't need everything you want right now. Maybe you could trim or alter your plans or your requests for money or some banking or investment terms. Maybe you could trim them down to what is a little bit more affordable right now, and put other things aside for now and think about them in the future. Because remember, you do have Jupiter in your sign, and that's good. But and you did have a solar eclipse a month ago in your sign, so you can start something new. But Taurus, you better think about how many different new things you want to do. Because a Taurus likes to sort of take a look at things and handle them one by one, and they're good at that. And so you may say, "Oh, I want this all right now," but that may not do you any good, Taurus. That might not be your nature. Your nature is really to sort of build on solid ground, and you have the time to do that. So maybe you could, if you're making a request for a lot of money, maybe you could pare that down a little bit, and maybe somebody else's no could turn into a maybe or a yes. But for right now, it's going to be no. And so both sides will have to renegotiate. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. This is a time, Gemini, when you can be right on the brink of something new. And it could be something that's temporary, or it could be part-time, or it could be something just like a short trip that you want to take, or a short course that you want to take, or even just some sort of method of communication that you sort of want to try on. And maybe it's just through email, but that's okay. So Gemini, the reason why you can be on the verge of something that, let me describe it as a blossoming, something where you're being more expressive in one way or another. And it is because that new moon on Friday is going to enter your sign within 4 hours. So it's going to be in your sign this weekend. And the sun is coming into your sign too. And the next new moon is in your sign. And so, Gemini, that's what I mean about you being on the brink of some new way of expressing yourself. It could be artistic, it could be creative, it could be in a partnership, it could be inventing something new that you want to do. Pluto in Aquarius is trining your sun. So, and there's an awful lot of planets in Taurus right behind your sun sign. There is some matter connected to either property, investments, or just outright money that you know about behind the scenes. I don't know if it's your money or your investments, but you are aware of it. And I would say that if you don't want to get into a fight to the finish, then it's better to sit on the sidelines and just be an observer for a while, and try to be creative on your own. And that's because you may not be the referee either. I mean, even if somebody was a referee, that would be a wasted effort, because people who are thinking that they're going to have a fight to the finish, they're not thinking of quitting. The one who's going to say no means it. And the other one who may represent special interests or somebody with a hidden agenda, well, they're pretty devoted to that. So, I mean, it's going to be a deadlock. And so you might know about that, Gemini, but I advise you to turn the other cheek and not look at that. And stay out of it, Gemini. Because you actually have some good planets coming into your sign, and the next new moon is in your sign. So I would look forward and not backward, and just think about all the good possibilities you have ahead of you, including some good summer weather. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. This is a time, Cancer, when there can be a little dissension in the family. And that's because Mars is in your sign. You know, Mars is sort of an angry planet at times. And Venus is also in your sign. So you may not be the person that's in an angry mood, but you could be knowing or involved in a discussion with other people who are what you might describe as out of sorts. In other words, generally they're pretty nice people, but they're not feeling like it right now. And so, Cancer, how much time do you want to spend with those people right now? They don't have anything to offer but their own acrimony. You know, the thing that's making them upset. That's what they have to offer you. I would stay away, Cancer. You have Venus in your sign. I think you're in a loving mood. Or you're in a mood to just enjoy the summer. Or you're actually in a mood yourself, probably to make peace. But I think there can be other people that are either irritating you because they're not on your wavelength. They want to hammer out their own points and not consider yours at all. And so I think that you're a little bit caught. You also may be involved with somebody who has a hidden agenda. Since Saturn in Pisces, along with Neptune, are trining your sun. They could have had a vision even as long ago as 28 to 30 years, which will be back in the 1990s, of really getting their hands on a lot of money or a lot of property or a big investment portfolio. And now that Saturn is back in Pisces 28 to 30 years later, they can be really going for it. And so no matter what they say, if I were you, I would take it with a grain of salt. I mean, this is a very good time, no matter what mood anybody is in. This is a very good time not to believe anything unless you see it sort of in writing and witnessed and verified. In other words, people could be saying what they think someone else wants to hear. It doesn't mean it's true. And they could even be putting on a very convincing act. But that doesn't mean it's true. And so, Cancer, with Venus in your sign, actually being trined by Neptune in Pisces, which is the ruler of the sign, if you were to focus on a precious dream of your own that you would like to have come true, and just focus on that and put blinders on so that you are not seeing or being involved in any kind of family dissension or acrimony or anybody who's got a hidden agenda, that would be a very good way for you to get through this time. And remember that planets in Taurus always sextile your sun. But there aren't going to be that many planets in Taurus after Friday, because the moon's moving on right away. And the moon is your ruler. It's coming into Gemini, which is going to be right behind your sun sign, which means you're going to be pretty involved with something behind the scenes. It could involve something temporary, or it could involve younger people, or it could involve some sort of short trip or easy transitional change or move. Actually, all those things would make you pretty happy right now, Cancer. I'd stick to whatever's going to make you happy and really tune out everything else that is somebody else's problem. And perhaps it's not even a real problem, but they might be sort of advertising it in order to get what they want. And you should be a little suspicious of that. Okay, what does it mean to Leo? Leo. Just like Aries and Sagittarius as well, Leo, there are no planets in the fire signs right now because Jupiter was in Aries and it was trining your sun, so I hope you took advantage of making a new beginning, Leo. But it's not doing that now. In fact, Leo, yours is a fixed sign. Remember I said there are 6 planets in fixed signs under the new moon on Friday in Taurus. So Mercury, which just went direct 2 days ago, is in Taurus. Jupiter is now in Taurus, and it's at 0 degrees because it just went into the sign today. And by Friday, The Sun and New Moon, which is exalted in Taurus, will be there as well, and Uranus is in Taurus. All 5 of these planets are squaring your Sun, Leo. And the 6th planet, the one that's on the other side, the one that in some sort of fight to the finish, it's the lone voice that's saying no, no, you can't have something. That Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your Sun. And so, Leo, if you had your heart set on laying your hands on some good money or good piece of property or a big investment portfolio, I would say you have stars in your eyes, Leo. It's not going to happen. But on the other hand, I think it's that if you adjusted your sights, particularly regarding your bank account, and you took a look at what your financial obligations were, and that means the bills that you have to pay or the amount of credit card debt you have, something like that. If you focused on that, you wouldn't have to think about anything else, Leo, because that's what's got to be trimmed down. And it's completely within your power to do that. I mean, it just takes hard work. You know, you might have to work a second job, but you can do it. Leo's, you know, your sign is lit by the sun. Only the sun, the new moon in Taurus, and the sun are squaring your sun as well. If you are deciding you want to get in a fight to the finish about a financial matter, any kind of financial matter, you are not aspected to win it. And I don't really think there will be any winners. But whoever is saying no really means it. I don't think their no is going to change. I think what's going to have to change is that terms will have to be trimmed down a little bit to something that is more affordable in one way or another. And that's affordable for everybody. So there's a lot of negotiation that's going to have to be done about financial matters. If you get into any kind of negotiation about financial matters, at this time it would be a waste of time. There's 6 planets that are all very harshly aspecting your sun sign. So I would stay away from that, Leo. Take a look at what you can do to solve your own financial problems. And if it means getting another job so you can pay down your bills, or if it means renegotiating the terms on some credit card debt, maybe you could do that. But it would take just you doing it. And so that would be good. And also, you know, Leos are pretty happy-go-lucky. They're happy, you know. The sun is your ruler. You like things to go along well, and summer's coming, and there's lots of fun in the summer. Maybe you can just do a lot of summer things for free that are fun, and do them with other people that you just like. Just stick around your friends, Leo, and then also work on your own financial problems. Because if you're going to somebody else to give you a bunch of money right now, you won't get it. And also, you know, that might involve a lot of debt, Leo. And debt is one thing you absolutely cannot afford right now. So don't go into debt for anything. Try to get out of debt instead if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Well, Virgo, there's nothing in your sign, but congratulations, Virgo. Your ruler, Mercury, went direct 2 days ago. And so it is in Taurus, trining your sun. You could be getting some good news about money now, and it might be delayed news about money, or an investment, or the price of something. Maybe the price of something has come down, and that would be good news for you, Virgo. And then Jupiter just came into Taurus. It too is trining your sun. Uranus has been trining your sun for 5 years. And then the sun and new moon in Taurus on Friday are also going to be trining your sun. So no, there isn't anything in your sign, Virgo, or in Capricorn. But oh boy, are those 2 earth signs going to benefit from what is in Taurus. It's just that you actually may not be too interested in a fight to the finish. That isn't Virgo's nature. Virgos, when they're right, they know they're right. They don't even bother to fight about it. They know they're right. It rules accounting. I mean, Virgos go over and over and over their figures. I mean, they practically have them plastered on their forehead. They know them so well. So, Virgo, there probably is going to be some sort of settling of some sort of financial account in one way or another. So it isn't a fight to the finish at all. It's sort of a settling. It may be something that had been on hold for a long time, and it finally gets settled. That would be good. And so I think that that is going to benefit you, Virgo. And in a way, that could be very good for you, except that the Sun and New Moon in Taurus are almost immediately going to be going into Gemini. And then they will be squaring your Sun. And Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are going to be, well, they are opposing your Sun right now. And so a dream of yours that's quite precious is probably going to be on delay a little longer, Virgo. But there can be very good news about some financial matter for you. And you should have had that news before, or you should have been able to take advantage of it before, but it's going to happen now instead. And oddly enough, it's better that it happens now. It's more to your advantage now. If you are getting some money or hearing about some money in one way or another, you're just going to be a little bit better prepared. Even though it was delayed, you're going to be better prepared to handle it. And Virgos are excellent at banking and accounting. So good luck on that, Virgo. But as far as a precious dream, it's still a little bit out there, Virgo. And that is because there is still some sort of more immediate problem that has to be addressed. And it can't be rushed. So it may not be in your hands, but you're associated with it. And it's got to get over first. And then you can go on. And then the precious dream comes true. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. This is a time, Libra, when you're about to get sort of lucky. It's not right now, but it's coming. And Libra, curiously enough, it may have something to do with the fallout from a fight to the finish right now. And you may not be involved in the fight, but I think you're going to benefit from the fallout. And the reason why, Libra, is because the thing that is causing the fight to the finish is one person or one group, and it's represented by one planet, and that is Pluto in Aquarius, which is trining your Sun and the Gemini Sun. So there is going to be some sort of benefit to somebody else putting their foot down and saying no. And it's a person pretty high up or a person with vision, and they just say no. But in doing that, and because it trines your Sun, Libra, and the Gemini Sun, I think you benefit from that. It may not be exactly right now, but I have a feeling that from now on you benefit from it. You know, maybe just little by little by little. Because remember, the financial deadlock is because somebody says no. And they have good reasons, and they have a lot of doubts. I mean, it's okay for them to say no. But it means that instead of a deadlock or a fight to the finish, financial terms among some groups or some people have got to be continually trimmed down to something that is smaller and more manageable and affordable. And that's going to take a while. But when that happens, I think you benefit. And so, you know, it may not happen right away, Libra. but it's coming up. And that's because the sun and the moon are going into Gemini, and the next new moon is in Gemini, and it too will trine your sun, along with Pluto in Aquarius. So I would say, yeah, you don't need to rush on anything right now, Libra. I think you will benefit from someone else who's going to stand their ground, or someone else who has future vision and wants to go forward and sort of wants something to be fair to all, not to a special interest, or not to somebody who has a secret agenda, an old secret agenda. So they really have the best in mind for everyone. They're very humanitarian, and it's going to take a while, but you will benefit, Libra. So will Gemini. So will Aquarius. And even if it takes as long as 2 years, in 2 years, Uranus goes into Gemini. And watch out, world. It is going to be a different world when that happens, because it's going to be so well placed in Gemini. Uranus rules Aquarius. It will be trining Pluto in Aquarius then. And things that, people who do have future vision, people who are talking about things that we can't even imagine, but they're thinking it could happen. It probably could in a couple years, because innovation is just in history they call that a paradigm shift. When something changes so radically among the world that it creates a whole new way of living. And a thing called the Industrial Revolution, that took people off farms and put them in cities and got things going. And so the Industrial Revolution was a paradigm shift. Well, we're looking at another one in 2 years, as soon as Uranus gets into Gemini, and it'll stay there for 7 years. And so another paradigm shift is going to happen, a big one. I never did think that we would actually be able to put somebody on Mars, but it could happen. People will find a way. So anyway, Libra, you're going to benefit from all of that. Just be patient. And keep smiling, Libra, because Libras are charming. They always make other people feel good. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, you may be feeling as if you've got the deck stacked against you somehow, because there are 6 planets in fixed signs, and they're all largely aspecting your sign and the sign of Leo, because on Friday, Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, the Sun, and the exalted new moon will all be opposing your Sun, Scorpio, and Pluto in Aquarius is already squaring your Sun, and it's your own ruler. And so, Scorpio, it's very possible that in one way or another, you might be involved in a fight to the finish. And that would be if you wanted to be. Okay, so it's conditional, Scorpio. If you want to be involved in a fight to the finish, well, okay, you could be. The reason why it's conditional, the reason why you can choose whether you want to be involved in that or not, is because your sign has a lot of good support right now. It is facing problems with other people with fixed attitudes right now. They're not willing to budge. And of course, yours is a fixed sign. You wouldn't want to budge either. But Mars and Venus in Cancer are trining your Sun. And so are Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. You have 4 planets trining your Sun. And one of them is your own ruler, Mars. So you've got one of your rulers, Mars, trining your Sun, and you've got the other one of your rulers, Pluto, squaring your Sun. So I would suggest that you not get in a fight to the finish, Scorpio. But on the other hand, if you are a person who, you don't have to be an Aquarian. Pluto is your ruler, and it's in Aquarius. So if you are a person that is sort of high up in management, or you're the head of something, and you have future vision, it could be you, that chooses to say no. And that's a short word. And you probably would not feel you had to say anything else. No is no. And so you could do that. But it wouldn't be every Scorpio in the world. It would be somebody who's got that future vision, who is doubtful about where or how a large amount of money could be used. And it could be just one person that says no to others who could have a secret agenda or represent special interests and want a lot of money or a lot of property, or they want to get their hands on a big investment portfolio, and they think they can. They may have been harboring that as a hidden agenda for 28 to 30 years behind the scenes. That's what Saturn in Pisces represents. And yet only one person needs to say no, or one group, and that's it. A fight to the finish. Well, Scorpio, your sign is actually well fortified right now. Just remember that. You have got a lot of emotional support backing you up. And you could have friends in places that you didn't even realize. And if you need their support, they're there for you. Some of your family members could surprise you, either by being so supportive or being so argumentative, one or the other, because Mars and Venus are in Cancer. But they both trine your sun. So if you are in the mood to say no to something, Scorpio, particularly if it's a demand for money or property or investment income, and you just don't feel like it, no's a good word. Just nothing wrong with saying it. You are backed up. Your sign is well backed up. So even though you're facing people that want to fight, it's going to be up to you to choose whether you want to fight or not. I mean, you could say no and leave. Just don't talk to those people anymore. Because no is no. Sooner or later, they got to get the message, but that's their job. You don't have to keep saying the same word over and over again. It's up to them to understand you mean it. So, don't worry about it, Scorpio. You could feel very strongly about something, and if I were you, I'd listen to the voice within. It's a lot better than anything anybody else is saying right now to you, because they're wanting something without being completely honest about why. So I wouldn't give it to them either if I was you. Don't get used, Scorpio, particularly if it has anything to do with your money. You would have earned it. Hang on to it. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when you two, just like Gemini, are on the verge of something. You're not there yet, but you're on the verge of it. It could be a trip, a short trip. Your sign rules long distance travel. Well, maybe you've got that in mind too, Sagittarius. But the Sun and New Moon in Taurus on Friday, particularly the Moon, are immediately going to move into Gemini, and it will oppose your Sun. But the Moon's a good planet, and it could be that if you're not going on a short trip, somebody else you know is going on a short trip. And it would be quite enjoyable for them. It would be just fine. So if you know of somebody that wants to take a short vacation, or if you want to, I would say go right ahead and do it, Sagittarius. It may provide a nice break from some of the pressure or even some of the indecision that you have been experiencing most of this year. In other words, I'm sure that you've wanted to make a new start, but maybe not all the conditions have been right yet. Or it might be that you have wanted to travel, but, costs are so high, maybe you had to wait a while for that. So you might not have gotten what you wanted yet, but it looks like you probably could, particularly as planets move into Gemini. They'll be opposing your sun, but Gemini is a very light sign, and it's possible that Sagittarians need a little uplift right now. They need to quit thinking so seriously for a while. It's like taking a little mental break, Sagittarius, and that could be in the form of a short trip, or even just taking a short course, something to get your mind off what you've been thinking about so much. That will refresh you, Sagittarius. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, one thing that we have all been inundated with, to the point of drowning in it, is bad news. Okay? Every time you watch TV, or you're on your computer, or you're reading a paper, there's always bad news. I mean, it's like they don't know how to make money unless they're always printing bad news. And you know, even that can get old after a while. And people need relief from that. They need to be reminded that there's a lot of good in the world. I would love to read articles about people that are doing good. But I guess a lot of people feel that that doesn't sell, that doesn't please the advertisers. Well, wait a minute. It's the public. It's the public that's got to buy the product. And you got to sell something besides bad news or bad problems to keep someone's attention. We don't want to be reminded of, you know, the whole pandemic thing. So Sagittarius, you may have been using your fine mind to think about a lot of serious problems for a while, and I think you should take a break and just go off and do something that's it's not exactly mindless, but let's just say it would be very relaxing, and it would get your mind off things. It wouldn't even be problems you caused. It would just be the world's problems. And if you could take a little break, a little vacation, a little day trip somewhere, I think that would do you a world of good. You would be terribly refreshed. And that would make you feel like, you know, it's a brand new world. So I hope you do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. Just like Virgo, you do benefit from this new moon in Taurus on Friday, because there are going to be 5 planets there. And in fact, maybe even starting today, you benefit, Capricorn, because Jupiter just went into Taurus today. It's at 0 degrees. It's going to be there for a while, trining your sun. And Mercury went direct 2 days ago, and it's trining your sun along with Uranus. And then on Friday, the sun and the exalted moon are going to be trining your sun. So Capricorn, in one way or another, you are about to take a step up. And that's going to be wonderful for you. Now, the step up could be that you are just deciding to do something that is very serious, even if it's a hobby. And it could be a hobby you're serious about. So you could take a step up in relation to that. Or it could be that you are also planning on maybe even going back to work and improving your budget in some way. Well, that could be a step up. I mean, can anybody beat inflation and high interest rates and enormous amount of debts? They seem to be so many different, there seem to be so many different kinds of financial problems just landing on us. And it doesn't seem like anybody's doing too much about that. And so we have to think for ourselves. And it can mean, since the earth signs in particular are very practical, it can mean that maybe you either want to sell something and get a little more money in your pocket, or you want to take on just a temporary part-time job. You know, just to make your time pay a little bit more. So you can do that, Capricorn. I'm not saying that you have to have any long-term goals right now, but there is going to be the opportunity to make money somehow, and I don't see why you would turn it down. Just go for it. It doesn't even have to last a long time. It's money you're going to be putting in your pocket. That's all you need to think about. And you'll feel a little bit more secure in these sort of crazy times when there are going to be people fighting to the finish about money or property or some large investment portfolio. They want a lot of money. Well, you know, Capricorn, your sign rules big business and big government agencies. And so you have a very good administrative, practical mind, particularly about the process of things. But if you just sort of stuck to what's good for you right now, Capricorn, it would probably reward you financially in one way or another. It would certainly reward you in a way that would make you feel your world was expanding a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all just have to get out and associate with other people a little bit more and put our troubles behind us. Why shouldn't we? And so you're looking at 5 planets trining your sun, Capricorn. I don't think you can go wrong right now. So no matter what you want to try, it doesn't have to be forever. Just give it a try. You'll probably love it. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when you could feel like saying no. And you would mean it. And that is probably going to be good for you. And it could express the confidence and the power that you have earned after 3 years of having Saturn in your sign. And so you may just be deciding, you know, I don't like some financial terms right now. Maybe you don't like the price of something. Maybe you don't like the financial terms of an agreement that you had agreed to previously. Maybe that's not making any sense anymore in these days of high inflation, high interest, and high debt. And so if somebody is coming to you now, Aquarius, and they are saying, oh, well, I want some money and I want it now. And or they're saying, or I want some property because values have gone up. Gee, I want all that. Or they're saying, I want to get my hands on an expensive investment portfolio, and I have a right to. You know, one short word is enough, Aquarius. The answer's no. No. And the reason why is that it isn't a reasonable request. It isn't even a temporary request. It could be a request that somebody had been calculating for quite a long time. Somebody that had a hidden agenda. Because you have Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, and then on Friday, the Sun and the exalted New Moon in Taurus all squaring your Sun where you have Pluto. And Pluto is a planet of deep truth, deep psychological change and truth. And after 3 years of having Saturn in your sign, you know an awful lot more about the truth about yourself. And you made it through times when you were tested. And it doesn't mean that you passed every test the first time, but you did eventually pass all the tests. You did succeed, Aquarius. You did a good job. So no is no. You don't owe anybody for that. You're the one that did the work. And so you need to decide right now the real truth about what's important to you. I hope you come up with a real clear answer, Aquarius, because this exalted moon is heading right into Gemini, which will trine your Sun. And the Sun is also going to be there a couple days after that. And since they're the lights, and they'll both be trining your Sun and Pluto in your sign, whatever answer you give to something, to somebody who's making a request that no, it doesn't make any sense at all, you know, whatever you decide, it's going to need to be changed. It's going to need to be pared down. You could be in a financial deadlock with somebody just by saying no, but eventually they'll get tired of hearing that, and they may decide to renegotiate. Well, then maybe you'll renegotiate. Who knows? But for right now, if you feel like saying no, because you feel that you're worth it, you're worth whatever they're talking about, so why should you give it away? So say no. You probably made the money yourself, or improved the property, or increased the investment portfolio. Whatever it is that somebody wants from you that involves money, it would be a lot of money, and you have no reason to say yes. They didn't earn it, you did. So just say no. And you don't even have to keep talking to them. Let it sink in, Aquarius. Remember, you've got the lights coming into Gemini that are going to trine your sun by next week. You're going to be able to say things a little better. You don't have to say anything right now except no. And maybe that will bring somebody's big hot air ideas down to earth. And you don't need to do anything. Just let it sink in. So better days are ahead. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when I hope you're not a person that's had a hidden agenda, particularly about big money, for a long time. In fact, since the last time that Saturn was in your sign, which was, I think, between 1993 and 1995. 28 to 30 years. If you have had some sort of secret agenda about big money ever since then, and you thought, well, all I have to do is this and this and this and this, and over time that'll get me a lot of money, maybe you're right. If it's something where it was, you spent all that time working for your employer and you put away money in a pension fund, then that's fine. You don't even have to argue about that. The money's there. And if you've been putting away in Social Security, the money's there. But if you had a secret agenda for getting even more money, that's not going to happen. So you have to be pretty reasonable about what you want right now. And I would say a hidden agenda is not going to fly at all, so I hope you give that up. But on the other hand, there are 4 planets in the water signs right now. So that Neptune, your own ruler, is in Pisces with Saturn. And since Neptune is at home in the sign it rules, and it rules dreams, you could have had a long-term dream, a very precious dream, that you want to make come true. And maybe you're thinking you need a lot of money for that. And those 2 planets are being trined by Mars and Venus in Cancer. And so you could be thinking, well, I want a lot of money so I can do things for my family. And, did you ever bother to ask them if they wanted it, Pisces? Because there could be some argument or dissension among family members now. And you might have that to deal with instead. So I don't know whether you're after something that you've wanted for a long time, or if you're very sympathetic, you just want to respond to other people's needs, you could do that as well. And particularly if you have been, Pisces are very self-effacing. They don't really admit to having their own precious dreams, because Pisces is a sign of charity and of forgiveness, and they're a pretty soft touch, actually. I mean, Pisces, there's probably been a few people that have come to you with their sad tale of woe, and you probably really have helped them out, only to learn they didn't quite need it, but you did it anyway. Okay, that's fine. Pisces like being nice to people. Well, that's good. I wish there were more people like that. But on the other hand, if inside of yourself you were so modest and so unsure of whether you were worth a precious dream of yours, so you never quite stepped forward to make it come true, even though you could have had it for years, then I would say try to focus on that and skip everybody else with their sad tale of woe. It doesn't mean you're not charitable, but maybe you could find other ways that are less time-consuming or less expensive to be charitable, so that you could devote a little more time and money to your own happiness. That's all I'm saying. Is, you know, in an hour, how much time in an hour do you spend on yourself, Pisces? On making yourself happy, on making a dream come true. Pisces are extremely creative people. How much time every day do you spend on being creative? Because that's how the little flowers in your heart bloom, Pisces. You like being creative. So do you see what I mean? You may have put others ahead of you. You may have hidden a precious dream in your heart, and you may not even have known if you thought you were worth it or not. Well, you're never going to find out until you try to make it come true, Pisces. I think you better do that. You do have some pretty strong planets in Cancer trining your sun. The most important thing is you have your own ruler in your sign. And once it leaves, you'll never have it in your sign again. So if ever there was a time when you should be trying to make a precious dream come true, it's now, Pisces. Because things don't happen overnight. They take time. But the sooner you get started, the closer you get to making it come true. And that'll make you happy. So good luck. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see this show on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I wish you'd tell your friends about that, and so you could all subscribe to it. And also you can read the blog on my website, starborninstitute.org, and it will explain the show in a little bit more depth. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week. Bye.